She looked at me and said, "It didn't mean anything." That's when my heart quietly broke and never came back. Some nights don't scream, they whisper, and those are the ones that stay forever. I was 22 and I thought I understood silence. I didn't. That night, the room felt smaller than usual. The lights were dim, not because we planned it that way, but because neither of us reached for the switch. She sat on the edge of the couch, her long back hair falling over one shoulder. Her freckles were soft, like they didn't want attention. She always carried calm with her, not warmth.com. She was 30. American. Older in years, older in knowing how to hide feelings. I noticed the small things. The way she held her phone but didn't look at it. The way she breathed before speaking. The space between us wide enough to feel, small enough to hurt. I wanted to say something simple. "Are you okay? I miss you. I'm scared." But my words stayed inside, crowded and quiet. She finally spoke. Her voice wasn't angry. That scared me more. Whatever this is, she said softly, "It doesn't have to be heavy." I nodded, even though I didn't understand. I watched her hands. They were steady. Mine weren't. I thought love was loud. I thought pain came with shouting. I was wrong. That night didn't feel like an ending. It felt like a pause, and pauses are dangerous because they give you hope. We talked for hours and still said nothing important. She told me stories from her life, old places, old mistakes, old people who once mattered. I listened like every word was a gift. I wanted to tell her how she changed my days, how the world felt quieter when she wasn't near, how her presence felt like a home I didn't deserve. But I stayed quiet. She smiled at times, not a happy smile, a polite one, like a door half closed. "You're very young," she said gently, not as an insult, as a fact. I laughed. I acted fine. Inside, something folded. I realized then she saw me differently than I saw her. To me, she was a future I was scared to dream about. To her, I was a moment she didn't want to hold too tightly. Silence filled the spaces where feelings should have been spoken. When she stood up to leave, I felt panic rise in my chest, but I didn't stop her. I told myself, if it matters, she'll stay. She didn't, and I told myself another lie. If it hurts, it must be love. Sometimes one sentence is enough to break a heart forever. Days later, she said it. We were standing outside. The air was cold. The sky was empty. She didn't look at me when she spoke. That night, she said, "It didn't mean anything." Nothing. The word hit harder than anger ever could. She explained it calmly, like explaining the weather. No drama. No tears. I nodded again. I always nodded. I wanted to scream that it meant everything to me, that I replayed every second, that I carried it with me like a secret bruise. But I said nothing. She hugged me before leaving. A soft, careful hug, like you hug someone you don't want to hurt but already have. That was the moment I thought the story ended. I was wrong. The truth didn't come from her. It came from silence. Weeks passed. No messages, no calls. Then I noticed something. She stopped posting, stopped laughing online, stopped being visible. I realized something painful. That night didn't mean nothing to her. It meant too much. She wasn't careless. She was afraid. She didn't call it nothing because it was empty. She called it nothing because naming it would have changed everything, and she wasn't ready. That realization hurt more than her words, because it meant she felt it too. The hardest pain is loving someone who felt the same, but left anyway. I grew quieter after that. Every place reminded me of her, not loudly, gently. The worst kind. I imagined conversations we never had, confessions that came too late, moments that lived only in my head. I didn't blame her anymore. She protected herself the only way she knew how, by pretending it was small. I learned something important. Sometimes people don't leave because they don't care. They leave because they care too much. I finally understood why she had to call it nothing. Years later, I saw her again. Briefly. Accidentally, she looked older, softer, tired. We didn't talk long. But when she smiled, I saw it. Regret. Quiet. Hidden. And I understood. If she had admitted what it was, she would have had to choose. And choosing meant risk. So she chose silence instead. And I was the cost. Some people don't break your heart. They teach it to feel. Now, when I think of that night, I don't feel anger. I feel gratitude mixed with sadness. She didn't destroy me. She showed me how deeply I could feel. And maybe that night wasn't nothing. Maybe it was everything, just not meant to last. If this story felt familiar, if you've ever lost something that was never named, you're not alone, and your feelings were real. Thank you for listening.